Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be finally showing off the new Dragunities. I kind of got a few different plays from a few different players here to kind of show off what the deck can potentially do. Now, I haven't seen this deck a lot, so it might not be that popular right now just simply due to the amount of things that's going to need to go in your favor for this deck to be really good. I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways that you can establish a board, but I also want to go ahead and show you guys some of the problems it can have. Nibiru obviously disrupts a lot of combo-based decks, and they do require a lot of summons before they can even get to that step where you can negate Nibiru, because a lot of different decks, they'll be able to combo into the point where they can negate the Nibiru and then they can continue going off with their combo. Where this deck, it needs a lot of special summons, or it needs a little bit of a setup. But I want to go ahead and show you guys what happens if they got double Nibirus, right? As that can definitely be a thing. Just double hand traps in general can disrupt this deck quite hard, as it doesn't have that many follow-up plays after it gets Nibiru'd or at the right time you get impermanence. A lot of times this deck, especially when you don't get to set up the graveyard, it can have that I guess power loss that a lot of other decks may potentially have. But now we have to have just one card you're seeing is able to go ahead and establish a lot of bigger monsters up on the board. But in terms of actual negation, you only really get like one negation and then like another disruption. You're not going to be able to go Appaloosa 4 negates and then follow up with any additional cards. However, with the addition of the Amorphages, you do have the potential to lock your opponent out from playing. But you can see time and time again being able to get out a lot of monsters just off of one card. But again, they don't have that many reactive effects. You do happen to have, this is the new Dragunity boss monster, the Red BR over here, and it has the ability to quick effect banish a Dragunity monster from your graveyard and then negate the activation and then banish the monster. And there's another monster that is quite great that we'll see here in a moment that will be able to actually banish a card. So let me go and show you guys what the deck would do maybe if it didn't open up so great, because you know it happens, it's Yugioh. And on top of that, the opponent over here will have Dark Ruler no more, so even if there was to be a very established board, it's mostly to show you guys how powerful this deck is in being able to come back and just throw up a bunch of monsters up on board. But again, turn 1 plays are just lackluster when you compare it to what is available inside of the game. Not that it mattered, because Dark Ruler No More says whatever board you have, I'm going to go ahead and deal with it. So this guy's playing the new Chaos Lightsworn variant with, of course, Jet Synchron, which everyone's playing Jet Synchron because the card is absolutely amazing. And then plus with, of course, Chaos Space, there's lots of one-card combos with this card for a lot of different decks that can just have a lot more consistency over here. But we see Kyrios, we see Felice going to be summoned as well, and of course this card is negated. Lumina going to go ahead and go right into another Lumina, so he's got massive amounts of Luminas up on the board. I remember like the back in the day Lightsworn plays sometimes would do like triple Lumina, Garroth, end phase, and then just mill like 20 cards, and that was considered insane. But now you go through half your deck like no problem at all in Yugioh. But back in the day it was a pretty insane play. And so this guy's going to go ahead and have the disruption of the Draco Berserker. He loses out on his entire board, but no damage because of Dark Ruler No More. We're going to see the World Legacy Succession. Going to go ahead and bring back the Crystal Wing because of the zones, which was excellent over here. And then on top of that, we're going to go ahead and see excellent follow-up from the next one after losing his board once again. He's going to go ahead and get that effect of the Hulk, and he's going to go ahead and get some damage and almost making a game. Sadly, well, if these were in attack position, he'd put his opponent at just 200 life points, but still, again, it wasn't enough to game him. But again, a lot of times with Dragunities, it's just like that one card to go right into any combo to go for Red Eyes Darkest Metal. We also have one of the newer boss monsters in the deck. This is Dragunity Knight Ascalon, where it has the ability to banish a Dragunity monster from your graveyard, then target one monster your opponent controls and banish it. Unfortunately, this is not a quick effect, but if it is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can just summon a Dragunity Synchro monster with 3,000 or less attack from your deck. And it says it's treated as a Synchro summon. Keep in mind, this is from your extra deck, not deck. But yeah, this effect is quite great as you're able to get something, again, out of it. But because it's not a quick effect, it's not as powerful as, again, what's available. And I know I've mentioned it several times, but I haven't just seen that many people play it just because it just lacks the ability to put up enough negates. Now, I did mention you can lock your opponent out, and I want to go and show off a few other plays of the deck, just kind of going turn 1 in what would be considered, I guess this is something still meta, Pendulum. But this guy actually was playing this card that you guys might be familiar with that is a pretty good card. but we'll go ahead and see what he's going to go ahead and be able to make turn 1 from this play. Because I really like his name is Denim's build, because he's able to, again, lock his opponent completely out. As you guys have probably already seen, the Amorphages can lock your opponent out, but there's another play where it can lock him out even harder, which I will go ahead and mention once we get into the deck profile for this. But if you guys have played Dragunities, let me know what you think of it, or if you've played against it. I, again, haven't seen too much of it, but every time I watch it against, well, right now it is just Numeron City, where a lot of decks just simply cannot deal with that deck going first. And if you're playing this deck, you don't have enough back row to survive, really. And a lot of times, because you want the extra consistency, you might not have that many room to play these 9 hand traps that a lot of decks are kind of going for right now, just because you need to be able to deal with the Numeron. I'm seeing Chalice, Forbidden Droplet, even Ghost Ogre is seeing a little bit more play due to, obviously, Ash Blossom not being able to stop the Numerons. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and see Ascalon summoned, as well as Ridbeer. So we have double of the Dragunity boss monsters, although this one is the quick effect one. This is the one where you're going to be reactive only during your turn, which is kind of unfortunate. We also see the Darkest Metal, the Dragon of Dark Steel, which is kind of cool, but again, it just has the effect where you get to target one of your monsters as banished or in the graveyard, and then special summon it to a zone that points to in defense position. It negates its effects, but you can't link someone for the rest of the turn. Not that it matters too much for this deck, but this guy just had to go ahead and say GG, ripped Electromagnet. I mean, yeah, that was just like get negated once. His deck fell apart real fast, but that's sometimes how it is in Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is just another like turn 1 play over here. This is a different build. I have 2 different builds for you guys, as you know, people like different things. But I think that this deck needs to be able to have more quick effects during your opponent's turn in order for people to be more incentivized to really play Dragunities, as before, back when Dragunities were super popular, this is back when they first came out, like, they were always turn 1 Stardust Dragon every single time. That's generally how the deck was played, because you had to protect Rubine, so you can follow up the next turn with another Synchro monster. But we're going to go ahead and see the Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, which is basically in most of the Dragunity variants, which will then go ahead and go for Red's Darkest Metal Dragon. It's kind of like the bread and butter of this deck, and he's going to go ahead and pass it on. I think if you did happen to have another extender, you can make like 1 more Synchro, which would be kind of nice, but at the end of the day, I mean, this can just lock your opponent out, because you can go ahead and go for any of the dragon monsters. It does change the stats of it, which kind of does hurt. But anyways, let me go and give you guys the deck profiles for this, and I'll go ahead and include it in the Discord, but I want to go and explain something with the Amorphages right here that you guys didn't get to see in the gameplay, although it's pretty similar to some of the dragon decks you guys have probably already seen before. But Amorphage Goliath is the card that you're going to go for, and this card has the monster effect that neither player can special summon monsters from the X deck except for Amorphage monsters. Now, this is also another card that you can use, but remember, the monster effect is if this card is pendulum summoned or flipped face up, which that's not going to be happening. The other effect is while you control, as a pendulum effect, while you control another Amorphage monster, neither player can activate spell cards or their effects except for Amorphage cards, which at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is go make this during your opponent's turn, and then also have this in the pendulum zone, as you can use some of the other cards in the archetype to kind of deck thin and get to this card a little bit faster. But making this card as pendulum with this, there's basically no spells, and then on top of that, no extract. And a lot of decks will fall apart really fast if they cannot activate spells. Heck, Numerons would not be doing so well if they cannot activate spell cards, as you won't really need to activate any quick plays during your opponent's turn. But again, the problem that I have with this deck is you need to have a lot of consistency, and when you lose out on the consistency because of the hand traps, then of course you'll just kind of have that as an issue, as this deck can be very susceptible. But you guys did see it against Nibiru with the right cards. You can still kind of maintain the control once you kind of set up your graveyard. But I know against some other decks, you get Numeron, GG, that's just how it is. Anyways, I'm going to go and mouse over the cards really quick in case any of you guys want to go ahead and copy this and you're playing physical Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatever the case may be. But I'll include the YDK files as downloads over in the Discord, which will be there in the pinned comment. And basically, this is like the card that I think is really good that they had access to. But again, when you're looking at a deck that just has like 1 negate, it's not as powerful. Technically, if you think of it kind of like the Buster Whelp, you're able to go ahead and lock your opponent out of the extract too with Goliath, as you can go for the Heavenly Spheres as one of the cards, which is, if Awesome card. I recommend it in both of the builds, but this is just the ones that you guys did happen to see over here. This is Mundus and Denu's build, so shout outs to them for piloting the Dragunities, because I wanted to build it myself, but I was like, I can't make enough negates. All I was able to go was you get the Dragunity boss monster, which we've already shown off. This one happens to have impermanence, but basically you would go ahead and make this, and then you get an Amorphage card, and that was pretty much how I like built the deck, and I just didn't see the deck going too far, and at the moment that's kind of what's available. And I know it's been a while since these cards came out. I just haven't been able to cover the newer Dragunities because I just thought that like maybe I was building it wrong, but it's just kind of how the deck is. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, drop a like on it, and if you are new here, subscribe, turn on that bell so you don't miss out on more Yu-Gi-Oh duels as well as deck profiles. And if you guys want to send me other replays of Dragunities or anything new that recently came out to be featured on the channel, feel free to go ahead and do so. Send it into the Discord. You can just PM me, or go ahead and send it into the email azneyesreplays@gmail.com. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one. I'm signing out. Peace.